Right, well, pretty much at the end of the season now is a good point, I guess, to reflect on what a crazy year we've had. I mean, yeah, it'd be good, I guess, just to, I said, we'll go over probably a number of points throughout the season and I guess how we've got from day one walking into the job to where we are now, obviously securing Southern League safety, which was the goal at the start of the season. But I mean, it'd be good just to go back to pretty much day one, really, and you took the job and probably didn't know quite what you was getting yourself in for, and I guess, yeah, it'd be good to understand, I guess, what your thoughts were coming into, I guess, how things have maybe lived up to the expectations, and yeah, go from there, really.
Where do you start? Yeah, when getting the job, obviously I was delighted to try and come into a club like this and prove myself was one thing, but obviously didn't expect to come into what I come into, in a sense of how far the club was in trouble, and how far a rebuild was going to be. It wasn't just a squad or just individual areas, it was the whole club. So listen, it's been tough. Like, can't explain how tough it's been, and we've put endless hours into this, and just to keep this club in this league, it's been an achievement for myself. But probably my biggest achievement is a manager, and like, I've had some good achievements so far in such a short career, but this has been up there with them. This is by far the biggest and hardest struggle I've had, and to be honest, like, coming to the end of the season, it was like the last 15 games of the season, it was like, for me, it was about the fans, like how much it meant to them, like seeing them follow us in, like, game in, game out, and their travel and their support, like whether we're winning or whether we're losing, whether we let it go in, they're just there to follow you. So like, for me, it was determination just to say to them, like, do you know what, I'm doing this for you, because it just felt like it needed to be for them, and it didn't come about me or my management team or about the players. It became, let's do this for them. So listen, I'm delighted to be able to achieve that, and hopefully we can build on that.
Yeah, and also look, after the first few weeks, I guess you've assessed where you're at, and obviously we pretty much came into a squad of 0 players. I mean, it'd be good to, I guess, get a little bit of a behind the scenes look for fans, I guess, what that pre-season, especially those first few weeks looked like, really, when I say big numbers in pretty much a field in the middle of nowhere. It'd be good to, I guess, get a little behind the scenes of what that looked like on a week-to-week basis, and I guess how we got from, yeah, day one with no players to putting out a side against Mansfield in the FA Cup.
So, a lot of phone calls, a hell of a lot of phone calls. I'm glad I'm not on pay-as-you-go, because I think I'd be skint anyway. But yeah, it was just about trying to get people to believe in the project we were trying to build here, which was very difficult because everyone knew the situation we were in. So it wasn't like I could lie to players, and I just want to be honest and open with them, like, just believe in us. And the players we took in originally, it was tough. It was tough for them. And pre-season was in a field in the middle of a rugby pitch. And we just had waves of players coming in, and honestly, I think pre-season we might have gone through like over 150 players. It was just like right, keep him, let's go for him, have a look at this, and it was about a goal of going. It was Bristol Boys trials. That's all it was. It was just trying to eliminate the ones we could keep and something we can work with and try and improve them. And it was just, we were then aiming for a first pre-season friendly. We had it in-house friendly where I managed to get about 30 people there to that. And then again, it was a good opportunity to look at a few players and go, right, yeah, no. And then it was going into our first pre-season friendly at telephones. And again, that didn't go to plan quite well. We're looking at it thinking, cool, I got some work to do here, and in such a short period of time, we're looking at it going, you've probably got 3 weeks till you've got your FA Cup game. So it was a lot. And my management team have done wonders behind the scenes as well, and like Forley, my assistant, and then you've got Toysy, Andre and Lewis that we've all dug in, and then you've also got Nigel, who's like not just a physio, but it's been a battle, mate. It was a battle, and we put a decent side out. Like, I think we went to Evesham, and we went there on a night game, I think it was, and we lost 3-1. It was 2-1 right up to late, and I said to Forley at that point, I said, we'll be alright. It was a turning point for me a little bit where I went, now we'll be alright. We got to build in a few hours and do a few things, but it was a good performance from us down there. So it was then looking at that going, actually, let's build for this Mansfield game, and then we went to the Mansfield first game, and that was, I thought we were brilliant down there. I thought we absolutely dominated the game, and I thought we should have gone and won the game really quite comfortably. And I think if it had been with the team we've probably finished with, I think we would have won it 5, 6, 7-0, because that's the chances we created. So yeah, it's been a long rocky road with no balls, no equipment, no tactics board. The state of the club and the facilities, it was like, oh, this is big, like.
Yeah, and then I guess it's a long old pre-season, but fast forward to the first league game away at Willand. I mean, I don't think really you probably knew what to expect in terms of what we're coming up against, and gone there, kept the clean sheet, won 2-0, and I would say as if nothing had happened really. It must be a bit of a shock, but a pleasant surprise coming into the league with 3 points and the performance that we had.
I think it was a shock to the people outside of the club. I think I've done a little bit of research and looked at what they've done and stuff, and there was a couple of late performances, like I said to you, in the Mangersfield game, and we obviously had the replay here, and obviously the Evesham game, where we knew, like, if we can get out and we can play our game, we'll be alright down there. And obviously it was for us to sort of, like, what's the level going to be like, where have Willingford in the last couple of years, so what do we need to do to beat them? And actually on the day I thought we were excellent. I thought we took our chances well, we moved the ball really well, and they couldn't live with us with the ball. So, like, we put a bit of shockwaves around going, oh, Manor Farm have just won their opening game, kept a clean sheet. So, but we soon got brought down to earth the second game after that at Hartbury, where we didn't really turn up and they beat us 3-1.
Yeah, and there was a spell probably the next 4 or 6 weeks where we struggled really to build on that momentum. I remember thinking of Exmouth away, there was a couple others in there, and we struggled, but I say that first game was all looking so bright, and I guess we brought that down to earth a couple of weeks later, and it was like the realisation of the task maybe probably hit again in round 2, as I say, is play hard against some strong sides that are really battling for 3 points every week.
Yeah, listen, the league was never going to be easy, and everyone told me, like, every game's hard, and every game you've got a battle to win, and it was a big opener, like we said, we went down to Exmouth, where we created so much but then lost the game 4-0. It was a little bit of a head scratcher where you go, like, walks across the pitch at half time with their manager, and he's like, how is this not 4-all? But it knows we've lost the game 4-0. But on top of that, we've done a lot of good stuff in those games. We weren't winning games of football, but we were doing a lot of good stuff in it, and the belief was there. Even from us management team, we knew we had weeks of training where we could work with this group of players, and it was about one in, one out, tweaking this player's come available, and it got to a point where players started believing in what we were doing, so players then started wanting to come to Manor Farm, and that's shown coming to the end part of the season.
Yeah, and we'll pick out a few of the highlights of the season throughout this, but I think, yeah, you talk about that belief. I think probably the biggest sign of that, and the biggest shockwave really, was that Malvern away game in September, when I think it's 5-2, 5-3 away win against Malvern, who I think were unbeaten at the time, top of the league, and yeah, absolutely played them off the park. And I think that was when, I say, you start hearing noise outside, and there's a few people going, Bristol Manor Farm have beaten Malvern away, and that was, I think, one of the first games to go, right, there's something to really build on, and we can beat anyone in this league.
Yeah, and again, it wasn't like a bill where from outside it was a bit of a shock to everyone, but from us inside, we knew what we were doing in training, we knew what we were doing in games, and there was big moments in games where we were doing lots of good stuff, putting some really good football together, and we probably played a lot of our best football on 4G this year. And when we went there, we went 1-0 down, 1-0, 2-1 down, 2-0, and then they scored just on half time. I think we were 3-2 down at half time, and the boys were really disappointed at half time because they played so well. And then we come out second half and we were excellent. And the 3 goals we scored in the second half were fantastic, and it was then it was just getting belief into the players that actually, listen, you are good enough. You just got to believe in yourself and keep doing what you're doing, and do long spells of it, not just in 20 minutes here and 20 minutes there. It had to be 45s and 45s. So it was just keep building up momentum and training, really building confidence with them, and making sure they understand, like, this is the process. Keep going, keep plodding away, and we'll be all right.
Yeah, it felt like really, I think a theme across the season really was that battle for consistency across the full 90 and across a stretch of games really. Yeah. There was, I say, so many times when we come away from games going, we had a great 45 or a great spell, and then a mistake or about 45 really let us down, and likewise maybe when we got a good result, it was failing to capitalise on that earlier in the season.
Yeah, we give a lot of goals away early on in games of football, which really didn't help us, because then we were fighting to get ourselves back into games of football, and there's numerous of ones this year that you could go back to where we were almost enemies at times.
I think both Froome games are prime examples.
Both Froome games, yeah, we lost them 3-2 both games. I mean, I think Froome was probably my favourite game of the season, and we lost the game, but it's one of those where you're looking at it and you're going, like, we had to stop giving those silly goals away to give ourselves a chance to win a game of football, and we've done that in the last 20 games, the last 18 games, we've done that.
Yeah, no, exactly, and as I say, obviously battled across the winter, which was tough with some injuries, a lot of turnover at that point. I think the team that we have now was slowly starting to form across winter and New Year's, and I'd say, I guess probably one of the bigger turning points of the year was in maybe February, March, which was Portishead away. I think it was probably a big turning point when we look back at it now, and that was obviously probably one of the toughest afternoons we've had in the year, but looking back at it now, it probably served us well, to some extent.
Like, when you're a new team, it's like there's going to be a couple of times in the season where you're going to get hammered, and we didn't get a lot of that in games. I mean, so we go back to the Exmouth game where we lost that, but we created a good chances. So for a new team, we were building and players coming in, players coming out, and you're going for a lot of players. When you talk about 49 players have played in the shirt this year, like there's going to be a point in the season where you lose heavily. And we had it up to like February, and I was like thinking, and you go to Portishead, and at that point we were in pretty good form. We thought we were doing alright, and do you know what? It was a turning point for us. It was an eye opener to go, actually, you got to sort yourself out, and we got to turn ourselves around. And actually, it probably done us a favour, that game. Like no one wants to lose a derby game, and no one wants to lose a derby game by that big. But actually, in the overall scheme of things, it actually done us a favour, because we got the lads in, we sat them down, and we went through the importance of where we are and what this club is and what it means to the fans. And I remember it like yesterday, and I remember going like to Ford, I said, like, we've got to make sure we get these players focused back in, and we forget about that game really quickly. And then from there, we just completely kicked on.
Yeah, we did. I think it was, I say, we had a couple of long trips away which were a bit challenging, but from there to come towards the end of the season, we're at the moment at 8 unbeaten runs since Tavistock at home, which I think was only 2 or 3 weeks after that game. And I think that's really what's I guess grew that gap, as other teams around us were winning as well. So 8 unbeaten, I think there's 4 or 5 wins in there at least, was really what solidified our position. And I guess the difference between the start of the season where we weren't so consistent to turn that into a good spell of fixtures towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I think we really lost like 2 in 16, something like that. And those 2 games we lost to Falmouth away and Biddeford away, listen, less I say about that, the better, in the sense of that went down to the boys. There was other factors into that, and we should have never lost those games of football. We weren't great in the second half at Biddeford, but we've done enough to win that game of football, and that was stuff out of our own control that we couldn't control. And then again, you had Falmouth then in a midweek game, and again we've dominated that game, and it was an awful goal to give away down there, but we've done enough to win that game, and we should have won that game again for factors of not our own. So you take those 2 out of it, we're in a really good run of form. I think before today we were 4th in the form guide. So for a team that's down there in last 15, 16 games, for instance, you go, listen, our boys and that's no coincidence, come down consistency, are a consistent squad. But 1 or 2 is going to make the team, and etc., which happens at every team. But I've just been able to feel the same squad and work with the same squad at training, and talk about our principles and what it means and how we want to play and things we want to do. So there's no coincidence in that.
Yeah, and I guess that all built up to, the last couple of weeks. I guess Bounty weekend was obviously a great one for us, pretty much securing safety at home to Larkle, but obviously officially getting that done last week away at Westbury. It'd be good to understand, I guess, what your thoughts and emotions were as the final whistle went and everything was mathematically done. Obviously, it looked good for a while, but it was never over till it's over, and it must have been a huge sigh of relief considering the amount of hours and work and stress that's gone into this year.
Yeah, I think a few people said to me, like, I don't think you've appreciated what you've done this year, and I probably didn't, because I was so focused on the goal, and the goal was to keep this club in the league. And I said to someone last week, I said, this week's felt like a bit of a come down. It's been really strange, because it's been like, felt like a massive weight's been lifted off my shoulders, but it's been hard, because there's been, like, normally every day there's something to think about, something to do, focus on next game, focus on the training, planning for this, planning for that. But it's been, I don't know, it's been a strange week for myself, in a sense of not felt like, because the last hour of weeks, it is 40 odd weeks, whatever it's been, has been absolutely full on. So like, yeah, it's been a bit of a strange week for me, in the sense, even today's game, it was like I said, I'll take a step back today and sort of just watch it and just enjoy it, which I never do, but my intentions were there to do that. But to secure that last week at Westbury was fantastic, and it was just a massive weight lifted off my shoulders, and sort of go, right, enjoy that, enjoy next week, and then do I get any time off in the summer? I don't know. We'll decide on that, but let's hope, let's believe I can do, but we'll see.
Yeah, so when you came in, it was always the primary goal was save us from relegation and keep us in this league, and I think probably times right at the start, throughout, where it was looking quite unlikely and quite a tough job. I mean, it was looking unlikely the club was even going to perhaps exist at stages throughout the year, and I say it must have just been amazing just to get that. There was only one job this year, and it's been achieved.
Yeah, well, I think we've only been in the bottom 4 twice this season. One was for a week, and I think one was for 2 weeks. So considering we're on a brand new side, like, yeah, we were fluttering around it and we were around it, but we weren't in it. So like, when you look at it like that, and you go a brand new side, new players, a low budget, you go, actually, we've done all right to be in the right, like, not in that relegation battle, or in the bottom four, should I say. But yeah, I mean, we just got to keep pushing forward, and hopefully we can. It's a foundation It's a foundation to move forward.
No, definitely. I say it's definitely looking back. There's been some highs and low moments of the season, but I think it'd probably be amiss for us not to, I guess, go for a few thank yous, a few mentions really. Obviously you mentioned, I think there's 48, 49 players been through competitive games this year. I mean, looking at some of the ones that turned out today, I think there's 3 or 4 that have been here right from the start really. Elliot, Skipper obviously, Mal, Nathan, I think the main ones that have been here throughout the start, and I say seeing those boys trust the process and trust that product. They're in there the early days in pre-season and seeing it through, most of them playing 35, 40 games a season. Must be great to see, I say, some of that work that you put in through pre-season, keep that continuing throughout the whole year.
Yeah, listen, Elliot's been good today. I speak to Elliot most weeks and we have conversations, and he's been good as a skipper for us this year and for this club as well. He's done a lot behind the scenes which people don't see, like in the club, and trying to generate money and help us, and listen, the boys believed in this process and they've stuck with it and they've gone with it, and we've just gradually got ourselves better and better, and obviously people just believing in this process, and hopefully now we start on a little bit of a level playing field in the summer, and we can sort of go from that, right, listen, this is what we're doing, this is how we finish the season, come and be part of it next year, unless with the new owners we've got in now, and they really want to kick this club on, and hopefully that will portray to the players and they can go, right, we want to be part of this and we want to go and push on forward next year. Yeah, exactly. Obviously some of those players joined at the start, some of them joined us not so recently, but I mean, looking across the season, I mean, some of the additions, obviously Elliot Duggan's obviously a really important one. I think Owen Crawford again at a time where we needed a keeper, guy has been really consistent for us. Probably a few others. Aaron Parsons been one that's come in and seem to really shore up that back line and help us keep clean sheets. I mean, you could mention most of the names out the sheet, but some of those really important signings have all played their part throughout the season, whether that's for 5-10 games a lot played, or whether that's for 30-40 games. Listen, the players even at the start, like, I want to thank all the 49 players that have played for me, because they have put a shift in and they've tried their hardest, but for one reason or not they've either moved up higher, like your Tom Blake we had all earlier in the season who's moved up, and you've got players that have just moved on because they weren't getting the game time. That's football, that happens. There's no personal agenda from it, it's just part of football, and whether that's players who were right at the start of me pre-season to the players that have finished the season with me, they all deserve credit to be part of this, and I thank them all really, and again I thank, like I said, the volunteers at this club. I don't think they get a big enough mention to the staff, in the sense of, like, even people like yourself, Alex, and Jordan, Kitman, and media, like everyone does multiple tasks at this club to just keep this club floating. So it's just it is literally a big thank you to all of them really, because they make my job easier. Yeah, and there's definitely, I think there's a couple that really need mention. I think the first one, you obviously alluded to it, but Nigel stepping in, coming in as physio. Next week he's secretary, learning everything, learning the ropes and signing on God knows how many players, and making sure that we're signed up for competitions, and I say players are eligible and everything like that. I mean, that was a massive burden for him, I know, at the start of the season, that he really took on without anyone really noticing and without ever really moaning about it. I don't think there'd be a club who went for Nigel. Like, I think there's two people, like John Lyons and Nigel at the start. I don't think there'd be a club who went for them, because my job was to focus on this side of it mainly. Obviously it wasn't, it was stuff in there, but my main focus was John Lyons to try and keep this club afloat financially, and then we looked around and we got no secretary, we got no one does all the FA stuff, and Nigel's never done it before, and he went, yeah, I'll do it, and he's just jumped in and he was doing physio, he was doing secretary, went around like a blue ass fly from match day to doing this to doing that to try it, and it not even just been that, like brilliant with the players, like he's been with me a couple of seasons and he's been amazing. But then on top of that, like, there's never a complaint from him ever, there's never a moan, there's never like, he just got on with it. Oh, Nigel, I need this sorted. Yeah, no worries, mate. And like, people forget he's a single dad, he's got 2 kids, like, and he's got a full-time job, and he's always in Bristol. Like, honestly, the bloke's amazing, and he's a credit to this club. This club are so lucky to have him, and like many more, mate, there's people like Martin and Carol that have been like running behind that bar every night of the week and like days off, and there's so many people. You mentioned Jill, who does stuff behind the scenes, John Lyons, who sort of, listen, that this club's here because of him, because this club wouldn't be here. He's kept this club afloat financially, and he's pretty much spent more time on this club than he has his own business, a bit like a few of us, but like he needs a special mention this season. Yeah, 100%. I know from conversations last time, John Lyons shouldered a lot of burden, a lot of weight, both financially and I guess in terms of the responsibility that I know he's felt to make sure that this club survives, and there's been times some of the things he's had to go through beyond belief really, and I think it's special what he's done to keep us going and buy us time really. That was the main thing, was by this time, and I think he has, and then he managed to find someone to come into the club to help really push this club on, and that's got to be a positive now to go, right, do you know what, that's behind us, let's enjoy a few weeks off in the summer, and then let's really try and build this club forward again. And listen, like, financially it'll always be a struggle because we're not out that straight away. We need our finances are very tight, but let's really push this club forward and let's really move on and go, right, foundation, pre-season, and we'll have a base to work with.
100%. And one other name we haven't mentioned, obviously taken over from Nigel Clare, who again, it's been up at all hours getting players registered on and doing good as well. I know you two have been back and forth on the phone a load since obviously Nigel handed the reins over. It's not an easy, it's a thankless job, I think, the secretary, and it's one we've seen with local clubs recently, where you can, if you're not on everything, you can get penalised on the pitch pretty harshly, and you've got to make sure that everything is done right and proper and at the right time. And yeah, it's a thankless job, and she's done amazingly stepping into that, again learning the ropes from Nigel.
She was chucked straight in the deep end, and obviously I felt sorry for her at one point. I mean, I don't think Nigel could wait to get rid of it, and then I think Claire was chucked into it and all enthusiastic. I think that was gone within a week when we had a transfer embargo, and then we was trying to sort all sorts out, and unbelievable job she's done to the. And do you know what? She's a credit on the club as well. A lot of stuff she does, and everything's got chucked on her, and she didn't have a clue what she was doing. It's to a certain point, and she's gone, yeah, I'll take that on. I'll do that. I'll make your life easier. So, and honestly, she's made my life easier. Like she's made it. At times we've spent hours on the phone trying to sort this and that out, and there's loads of stuff behind the scenes that you've got to get right, and fair play to her, she's done it, not just with us, with the 18s as well, and she's just gone taking it all, and like, she needs a big thank you as well for what she's done this year.
Yeah, and so now obviously the season's coming to, and we look to the future, we look to next season already, and obviously we mentioned the new directors coming in, obviously exciting time, obviously things will take time, but they've got some big plans, and I'm sure I guess it'd be interesting for the fans, I guess, to get a little bit of an idea of what the plans are next year for yourself, and where you really want to be, and what's next really. Now the season's coming to end, what's next for you, and what the next few weeks and months are going to look like until the season starts.
Yeah, I sit down with them all next week, just flesh out a few things that we need to sort out, and things are moving forward, and hopefully we'll move forward and get ourselves in a better position than we were last year, and we've got a foundation to work with. So my plans are now to try and get the boys back in for pre-season, really have a good pre-season, and listen, I want to be fighting at the right end of the table, not down this end of the table. So like next year I'll be pushing to be top 8. That's my own ambition. Like, and listen, there's going to be some strong teams coming down from the league above, some teams coming up from the league below, but if we can keep the core together of this, add a bit more into it as well, it can push those players on. There's no reason, we've shown it at times this year we can do it. So with consistency and the backing of the new owners, they can really help us push forward and move this club forward in the right direction.
Definitely, and I think last thing before we wrap up, we mention it all the time, but it'd be great just to get one last comment on the fans and how much that's really meant to you this year. I know through conversations that when things aren't going well and when things are looked uphill, it's that support and looking forward to that on a Saturday midweek that really keeps you coming back. And I know for a number of players that's often brought them here and kept them here. Honestly, it's amazing what they've done from the start of the season, and from I guess being in a position where it's clueless really. We couldn't really say too much over last summer about what we're doing. We couldn't really announce playing signings. No. And they stuck with us. And it was the faith and trust in yourself, who obviously they didn't really know as well coming into a new job. It must be refreshing to have that support behind you, considering the challenge we face this year.
I had to come in and prove myself. Obviously I was dropping up from a couple of leagues lower. Like, I always back myself to do what a job I can do, but there was times this year where you walk away from games of football and you think, "Cool, it's tough," but you remember the fans, and they can push you through it. And even when you've been beaten, you're good, and you're shaking your head, and you're thinking, "God, the fans are still there, clapping you off and giving you everything," and you're thinking, "God, like if they can do that, then we got to believe in ourselves, because they've believed in us." And through the good and the bad, like we've had games where you've gone, "Oh my God, how bad was that today?" And then they're there and they go, "No, come on, we go again. That's gone now, and wipe that off and go to the next one." Even just like the ceremony today that I got from them was unbelievable. I wasn't expecting it with the flag and the award they give me. Like it meant a lot, and it meant a lot. My kids were as well with it, and I just can't thank them enough for the support they've given me this year. Like I said to you, like even the last 15 games, I was like, "This is for them. This is really for them." And like we got the best support in the league. No two ways about it. They're unbelievable, and they show that week in week out. It's not just one game; they're here all the time. So hopefully that we can give them, we've got their club back from them, and we can show them a real team next year, and we can have a right push from the start.
Yeah, and on behalf of them and on behalf of the club, I'd like to thank you for this year. You, the management team, have done a great job, come in and a really tough job, and at the end of the day the goal was to keep us up, and you managed that. So now we look forward, we build on it, and let the final start again in a few weeks' time.
Go again, mate. All the stress and all the hard work and the more grey beard that I'm getting and grey hairs and everything. But yeah, then we go again and we have a few weeks off and we enjoy it, and then we on it hard again.
See you next season.
Cheers, mate.